Have you ever been in an argument with him? And no matter what you say, he twists your words, flips the situation, or walks away like he won. Have you ever felt unheard, misunderstood, or like your voice didn't matter? You try to explain, try to prove your point, try to make him see your side, but somehow, the more you talk, the more he pulls away. And in the end, he leaves thinking he was right, and you're left exhausted, frustrated, and questioning if you should have just stayed silent. But what if I told you that silence isn't weakness? What if I told you that the real power isn't in proving your point, but in making him feel your presence without saying much at all? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." And that, queens, is the secret. The strongest voice is not the one that yells the loudest, but the one that does not waver in the face of chaos. A woman who can control her words, her energy, her reactions, she wins every single time. Because the truth is, he expects you to react. He expects you to explain, to beg, to defend yourself. That's the game. The moment you step into that battlefield, you have already lost. But when you refuse to play, when you hold your ground with quiet confidence, that is when the game flips in your favor. Think of fire. Fire rages when fed. The more fuel you throw into it, the stronger it burns. But the moment you stop feeding it, it weakens, flickers, and eventually dies out. That is what happens when you stop giving him a reaction, when you stop proving your worth through words and start showing it through your silence, through your actions. He will feel it. He will see it. And that, queens, is when the shift begins. Because here's the truth about men. He will argue with you, challenge you, and push your buttons, not because he wants to destroy you, but because he wants to see if you will break, if you will lose control, if you will hand him your power on a silver platter. But the woman who stays centered, the woman who does not engage in pointless battles, the woman who knows that her presence alone is enough, that is the woman he cannot forget. That is the woman who lingers in his mind long after the conversation is over. Right now, you may feel like your words don't matter, like no matter how hard you try, he never truly listens. But that's because you've been taught that power is in speaking. But real power is in knowing when not to speak, when to let the silence do the talking, when to let your absence be felt instead of your voice, when to walk away from the argument, not because you lost, but because you refuse to lower yourself into a battle that does not deserve you. And that is where everything changes. That is where you step into your strength. Because you are not here to fight for attention, to fight for validation, to fight for the right to be heard. You are the prize. You are the queen. And queens do not argue for their worth. Queens do not beg to be understood. Queens reign in silence, and in that silence, the whole world listens. If this message awakened something inside you, if it reminded you of the power you've always had, then show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We are working hard to bring you the truth, the wisdom, and the lessons that will set you free. Because, queens, you were never meant to struggle for attention. You were meant to rise, to reign, and to be unforgettable. Number 1. The storm never wins against the mountain. Have you ever noticed how he tries to pull you into his storm? He raises his voice, twists your words, and turns the argument into a whirlwind of emotions, leaving you drained and questioning yourself. He wants a reaction. He wants to see you lose control. But what if you didn't step into the storm at all? What if, instead of being pulled into his chaos, you stood firm, unmoved, unshaken, untouched? Because, queens, the storm never wins against the mountain. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is where your true power lies, not in proving your point, not in fighting for his validation, but in mastering yourself. When you hold your ground like an unshakable mountain, the storm rages, but it does not move you. It may howl, it may roar, but in the end, it dies out on its own. And while he exhausts himself trying to pull you in, you remain standing, untouched, unbothered, and victorious. Imagine a tall, powerful mountain. No matter how fierce the winds blow, no matter how strong the rain falls, the mountain does not beg for the storm to stop. It does not shake. It does not bend. It does not chase after the storm, demanding it to change. It simply stands. And eventually, the storm passes, and the mountain remains, stronger than before. That is who you are. When he tries to stir chaos, when he tries to push you into an argument, when he tries to make you doubt yourself, do not move. Let him rage. Let him argue with himself. Let him exhaust his own energy while you stand in silence, watching him realize that his storm holds no power over you. This is not about silence as weakness. This is about silence as a weapon. He expects you to fight back, to yell, to prove yourself. But the moment you stop feeding the storm, the moment you stop responding to his chaos, he will feel the emptiness of his own noise. He will start questioning himself. He will start wondering why his words are no longer shaking you. And in that moment, he will realize something he never expected. He no longer has control over your emotions. And queens, once a man realizes that, the entire dynamic shifts in your favor. Because here's the truth, men are drawn to what they cannot shake. The more you stay composed, the more you radiate strength, the more he feels the weight of your presence without you even saying a word. A woman who doesn't argue, who doesn't react to his games, who stands in quiet confidence, she is unforgettable. She lingers in his mind long after the moment is gone. He will go to bed replaying the argument, wondering why he feels like he lost when you barely said anything at all. But this is not just about him. This is about you. This is about stepping into the version of yourself that no longer feels the need to fight for a place in his mind. This is about becoming the woman who does not chase validation, does not beg for understanding, and does not lose herself trying to win battles that do not deserve her energy. Because, queens, your presence alone is enough. Your silence is louder than any argument. And your power? It was never in proving, it was in knowing. He thought you would break. He thought you would crumble under the weight of his storm. But instead, you became something greater, a force of nature, unshaken, untouchable, unstoppable. And now he will have to sit with the truth that no amount of words, no amount of arguments, no amount of games can ever move a woman who has learned to stand in her own power. Queens, write this in the comments and claim it. I am the mountain. No storm can shake me. Let the world know that you are done arguing, done proving, done reacting. You are walking in your power now. And if this message spoke to you, if it reminded you of the strength that has always been inside you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We are here, working hard to bring you the truth, the lessons, and the mindset shifts that will set you free. Because, queens, your time is now. Number 2. The one who speaks less controls the conversation. Have you ever noticed how the person who speaks the most in an argument is usually the one who loses control first? You start with calm words, trying to explain, trying to make him understand. But the more you speak, the more he twists your words, the more he turns the conversation against you. Before you know it, you're raising your voice, emotions taking over, feeling unheard, feeling frustrated. And in the end, he walks away, thinking he won, while you're left exhausted, questioning if you should have said anything at all. But what if I told you that the one who speaks less controls the entire conversation? That the real power is not in explaining yourself, not in proving your point, but in knowing when to be silent. Because silence is not weakness. It is strategy. It is control. It is power. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." And queens, that is the secret. He expects you to react. He expects you to fight, to match his energy, to give him an emotional response that he can use against you. But when you hold back, when you pause, when you let him do all the talking while you stay calm, collected, unbothered, he will feel it. And that silence will be louder than any words you could ever say. Think of a game of chess. The amateur moves quickly, reacting to every piece on the board, thinking that speed will bring victory. But the master moves slowly, deliberately. She does not rush. She waits, watches, lets the opponent make mistakes, and then, with a single move, she wins. That is how you must handle arguments. You do not need to rush to defend yourself. You do not need to prove anything. You let him talk, let him reveal his weaknesses, let him dig his own hole, while you sit back and control the entire energy of the conversation. Because here's the truth, queens, a man is most uncomfortable in silence. He can handle anger, he can handle shouting, he can even handle tears. But when you go quiet, when you simply raise an eyebrow instead of raising your voice, when you respond with a slow, knowing smile instead of a long explanation, that is when he starts to feel uneasy. That is when he starts to wonder if he went too far. That is when the power shifts in your favor. Right now, he may believe he can win an argument by being louder, by saying more, by trying to make you react. But the woman who knows her worth does not argue to be heard. She lets her presence speak louder than her words. She does not beg for understanding. She lets her silence demand respect. She does not play his game. She changes the game entirely. And that, queens, is where everything changes. That is when he realizes that you are not like the others, that he cannot shake you, that he cannot control you with words. Because a queen does not defend her throne, she sits on it. She does not rush to explain. She lets the truth reveal itself. She does not fight to be understood. She simply exists in her undeniable power. So the next time he tries to pull you into an argument, the next time he tries to provoke you, the next time he tries to push your buttons, do not give him what he wants. Breathe, smile, say less. Let the silence speak for itself. And watch how he starts to shift, how he starts to chase, how he starts to see that you are a woman unlike any he has ever met before. Queens, write this in the comments and claim it. My silence controls the conversation. Let the world know that you are done explaining, done proving, done reacting, because the woman who speaks less wins more. Number 3. Your silence will echo, louder than his words. Have you ever watched him argue, thinking he was winning, only to later realize that the silence you gave him was the real victory? Have you ever sat in a room saying nothing while he kept talking, pushing, expecting a reaction, only to see the frustration in his eyes when he realized you weren't playing his game? That's the power of silence. It lingers, it echoes, it haunts. He may believe he has the upper hand when he speaks the loudest, but the woman who masters silence is the woman he can never forget. Seneca once said, "Silence is a lesson learned through the many sufferings of life, and queens, this is where your strength is born. The moment you stop trying to prove yourself, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you let your presence do the talking, he will feel it. He will feel the shift, the emptiness of the words he used to throw at you. Because words can be ignored, dismissed, and forgotten. But silence stays. Silence grows in the spaces where arguments used to be. Silence forces him to reflect, to question, to wonder. Think of an echo. When you shout into the mountains, the sound bounces back. It fills the air, returns louder, and reminds you of your own voice. But what happens when you stop shouting? What happens when there is no sound left to catch? No words left to return? There is only emptiness. That is what happens when you go silent. He will search for your response, your reaction, your need to prove your point, but he will find nothing. And that nothing will consume him. He may believe he won the argument because you didn't fight back, but he doesn't realize yet that he will spend days, weeks, even months replaying your silence in his mind. The way you didn't break, the way you didn't beg, the way you simply walked away, knowing that the battle wasn't yours to fight. And when he lies in bed at night, when the noise of the world fades and he is left alone with his thoughts, it won't be his words that echo in his mind. It will be your silence. He expected you to cry, to yell, to argue, to explain. That's what he knows. That's what he understands. But when you didn't, when you left him with nothing but his own thoughts, that's when the lesson began. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Silence is a mirror that forces him to face himself without you holding his hand, without you fixing his mess, without you feeding his ego with your energy. And when a man is left alone with his own reflection, he will either grow or he will regret. Either way, you win. You see, a queen does not raise her voice to be heard. She does not argue to prove a point. She does not waste her energy on a battle beneath her. A queen understands that her presence alone is enough to shift the entire room. And when she chooses silence, it is not because she is weak. It is because she knows her worth is not up for debate. Right now, he may not realize what your silence means. He may think it's indifference, stubbornness, or defeat. But the truth? The truth is, your silence is a door closing, a chapter ending, a lesson unfolding. He will see the difference when the attention he used to take for granted is gone. He will feel the emptiness where your energy used to be. And no matter how many words he speaks, no matter how many arguments he tries to start, nothing will fill the space that your silence left behind. So, queens, stand firm. Do not chase. Do not explain. Do not argue for a place in his life. The most powerful woman is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who does not need to speak at all. Because when you stop proving your worth, that is when he starts to see it. Number 4. A queen does not defend her throne. She sits on it. Have you ever noticed how the loudest person in an argument is usually the weakest? The one who shouts, repeats himself, tries to prove a point over and over. He is not in control. He is desperate for control. He wants to pull you into his storm, to make you react, to make you defend yourself. And the moment you do, you have already lost. Because when you start proving your worth, explaining your side, fighting for him to understand you, you are stepping down from your throne. But a queen does not defend her throne. She sits on it. She does not argue for her place. She knows she belongs there. And the moment you embrace that, the whole game changes. Seneca once said, "A king proves his power by ruling, not by arguing." The same is true for a queen. You do not prove your worth through words, through battles, through endless explanations. You prove it through presence, through energy, through unwavering confidence. He expects you to fight for his approval. He expects you to debate, to explain, to prove yourself. But a queen does not lower herself into meaningless battles. She reigns in silence, and in that silence, he feels the weight of his own actions. Think of the sun. The sun does not chase. The sun does not argue with the clouds when they try to block its light. It simply shines. And when the clouds pass, when the storm settles, the sun is still there, strong, steady, undeniable. That is your power. The moment you stop explaining, stop proving, stop defending your worth, he will feel it. He will notice the shift. Because when you no longer fight for him to understand you, he will start to wonder why. And that, queens, is when he starts chasing your presence instead of resisting it. In relationships, emotions run high. It is easy to get caught up in proving yourself, in making him see your point, in making him admit that he was wrong. But here's the truth. When you step back, when you stay calm, when you refuse to engage in emotional battles, he has nothing to fight against. He is left alone with his own thoughts, his own doubts, his own mistakes. And that is more powerful than any words you could ever say. He may test you, he may push, argue, and try to make you react. But the moment you hold your ground, the moment you stay still while he tries to shake you, he will feel something he never expected: respect. Because a woman who is not desperate for his validation, a woman who does not beg to be heard, a woman who carries herself with quiet confidence, that is a woman he cannot ignore. You are not here to convince him of your value. You are here to live in it. The more you sit in your power, the more he will realize that you are not like the rest, that you are not here to be debated, that you are not here to fight for a place in his life. And when he finally understands that, that is when he will crave your presence more than ever. Because a queen does not demand to be seen. She is seen. A queen does not force her worth onto a man. She lets him come to the realization on his own. And if he is too blind to see it, then he was never worthy of her in the first place. Queens, write this affirmation in the comments and claim it. I do not defend my throne, I sit on it. Let the world know that from this moment forward, you will no longer explain, no longer chase, no longer lower yourself for a man who should already know your worth. And if this message spoke to you, if it reminded you of the fire inside you, then like this video and subscribe. We are here, working hard to bring you the lessons, the wisdom, and the truth that will set you free. Because you were never meant to argue for your place. You were meant to reign. Number 5. You are the flame, and he will feel the cold without you. Have you ever noticed how he only feels your worth when you start pulling away? How he acts unbothered when you give him your warmth, but suddenly panics when he starts feeling the cold. He walks around like he's in control, like he can say whatever he wants, do whatever he pleases, and you will always be there, waiting, forgiving, proving your love. But what happens when the fire he took for granted no longer burns for him? What happens when the warmth he felt so sure of suddenly disappears? Queens, that is when he learns the hardest lesson of all. You were the flame, and now he is left in the cold. Seneca once said, "A fire cannot keep burning if the wood refuses to be consumed." That is the truth he will never see coming. He has been feeding off your energy, your patience, your kindness, your love, believing that it will always be there. He thought he could ignore your words, dismiss your feelings, and walk away from the argument while you stayed behind, trying to fix everything. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you decide that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on battles that don't deserve you? Queens, that is when the shift happens. That is when he starts feeling the loss. Think of fire on a winter night. It burns, giving warmth, light, comfort. But if someone keeps stepping away from it, keeps acting like it doesn't matter, keeps leaving it unattended, the fire doesn't beg. The fire doesn't chase. The fire simply dies down. And once it's gone, the cold is unbearable. The warmth that once felt so easy to have is suddenly missed in every quiet moment. That is exactly what happens when you pull back your energy, your attention, your presence. He may not notice it at first. He may think he has won, that he shut you down, that he walked away victorious. But then, slowly, the silence will creep in. The absence of your warmth will start to suffocate him. And by the time he realizes what he lost, you will already be glowing somewhere else. Because here's the truth about men. He does not realize what he had when he had it. He realizes it when he starts comparing, when the arguments with her feel empty, when the attention from others doesn't give him the same fire, when the way you made him feel is no longer something he can find anywhere else. That is when he understands that he lost something real. But the worst part for him, there is no way back. This is where you step into your power. This is where you stop fighting to be understood. Stop explaining yourself. Stop trying to prove that you are worthy of being heard. Queens, a fire does not ask to be noticed. It simply burns, and those who need it will come closer. But if he was foolish enough to step away, if he was arrogant enough to think he could walk into the cold and still feel warm, then let him learn. Let him sit in the silence of his own choices. Let him feel the weight of your absence like a winter that never ends. Because the most powerful thing you can do is not argue, not chase, not beg. It is to become untouchable, to glow so brightly that he can't even look at you without being reminded of what he lost, to rise so high that even if he wanted to reach you, he never could again. You are not here to teach him with words. You are not here to prove yourself in endless debates. You are here to reign. And queens, the moment you understand that, the moment you stop feeding the fire for those who do not deserve it, you become unstoppable. Write this in the comments and claim it. I was the flame. Now he will feel the cold. Let the world know that you are done wasting your warmth on a man who didn't appreciate it, that you are done explaining, done proving, done waiting. Number 6. The strongest message is the one left unspoken. Have you ever noticed how the loudest person in an argument is usually the weakest? How the one who talks the most, yells the most, or demands the most attention is often the one who is secretly afraid of losing. He expects you to argue. He expects you to fight back, to defend yourself, to explain every little thing just so he can twist your words and turn the situation in his favor. But what he doesn't expect, what he will never be ready for, is silence. Because the strongest message is the one left unspoken. Never explain yourself. Your friends don't need it, and your enemies won't believe it. Elbert Hubbard. A man who truly values you, who truly respects you, will listen even when you say nothing at all. But a man who only wants control, he will test you, he will provoke you, he will push you to react, because the moment you do, he feels like he has power over you. And that, Queens, is why silence is your greatest weapon. When you stop defending yourself, when you stop trying to prove your worth, when you simply exist in your truth without needing to explain it, he will feel it. And that feeling will be louder than any argument you could ever have. Think of a candle. A candle does not fight to prove its light. It simply shines. And when the darkness tries to overpower it, the candle does not argue. It does not scream. It just continues to glow. That is how you win. When he expects chaos, give him calm. When he expects you to beg, give him distance. When he expects you to fight for his approval, give him silence so deafening that it forces him to confront himself instead of you. Because here's the truth about men. They may pretend to be strong, but they are terrified of a woman who cannot be controlled by words. When you no longer explain, when you no longer engage in his little games, he will feel lost. He will wonder why he no longer has the effect on you that he once did. And that, Queens, is when he starts chasing you instead of you chasing him. Right now, he may think he has won. He may believe that by walking away from an argument, by ignoring your words, by pretending not to care, he is in control. But time is a cruel teacher. The moment he realizes that you have stopped explaining, stopped reaching out, stopped reacting, that is when he will feel your absence like a wound that does not heal. A queen does not argue about her worth. She does not fight to be understood. She does not scream for attention. She simply exists in her power, and that power speaks louder than words ever could. The woman who knows her value does not beg for recognition. She lets the silence do the talking. And that silence, that is what keeps him up at night. Queens, stop explaining yourself to a man who refuses to hear you. Stop giving your energy to battles that are beneath you. When he realizes that you have stopped arguing, stopped defending, stopped proving, he will be the one left questioning everything. And in that silence, he will hear the loudest truth of all. He lost you the moment he made you fight for what was already yours. Write this in the comments and claim it. My silence speaks louder than his words. Let the world know that you are done explaining, done proving, done wasting your energy on battles that do not deserve you. Number 7. The more he pushes, the less he feels you. Pushing back. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to explain yourself to him, the less he listens? The more you try to prove your point, the more he pulls away. It feels like no matter how hard you push, no matter how much you fight for understanding, he only becomes more distant, more stubborn, more convinced that he is in control. And in the end, he walks away feeling like he won, while you are left exhausted, unheard, and wondering if you should have even said anything at all. But here's the truth, Queens. The real power is not in pushing harder. it's in pulling back. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And queens, the bravest thing you can do in an argument is to let go of the need to win. Because the moment you stop chasing the victory, the moment you stop trying to make him understand, that is the moment he starts to feel your absence. The more he pushes, the less he feels you pushing back. And that is when everything changes. Think of the ocean. When you try to fight against the waves, they only push you back harder. But when you stop resisting, when you float, you stay above it all. That is what happens when you step back in an argument. He expects resistance. He expects you to push harder, to fight to prove your worth, to lose yourself in the chaos of trying to make him see your side. But the moment you stop pushing, the moment you let the argument drift away instead of drowning in it, he will feel the shift. He will feel the difference. And suddenly, he is the one questioning himself. Because here's what men don't realize in the heat of an argument. He isn't fighting with you. He's fighting for control. And when you refuse to fight back, when you refuse to engage in a battle that drains your energy and leads nowhere, he starts to lose control over the dynamic. He starts to feel the weight of the silence. He starts to wonder why you aren't reacting the way he expected. And queens, when a man starts wondering about you, he starts missing you. Right now, he thinks that if he pushes hard enough, you will keep pushing back. He believes that if he walks away, you will chase. He believes that if he challenges you, you will bend, break, and fight to prove yourself to him. But you're not here to prove anything. You're not here to battle for his approval, his attention, or his understanding. You're here to stand in your power, to remain unshaken, to be the force that he cannot ignore. Because your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. A queen does not fight for a seat at the table. She does not lower herself to argue with a man who refuses to listen. She does not waste her breath trying to convince him of what should have been obvious from the start. She simply rises. She steps back, and in that space, in that silence, he begins to feel the absence of what he once took for granted. Think of fire. A fire only burns as long as it has fuel. The moment you stop feeding it, it begins to die out. That is what happens when you stop giving your energy to an argument that does not serve you. He may try to pull you back in. He may try to test you, to provoke you, to see if he can still get a reaction. But when you refuse to play his game, when you refuse to push back just because he is pushing, you win. Not because you proved your point, not because you overpowered him, but because you showed him that his words, his actions, his attempts to shake you do not define you. And queens, that is when he starts to see you differently. That is when he starts to realize that you are not like the rest. You are not the woman who begs to be understood. You are not the woman who breaks under pressure. You are the woman who knows her worth so deeply that she does not argue for it. She simply exists in it. So the next time he tries to push you, the next time he tries to pull you into an argument just to prove he has control, remember this: the more he pushes, the less he should feel you pushing back. Because in that moment he will feel something he never expected: the weight of losing you, the silence of a woman who refuses to fight for a man who was never worth the battle. Queens, write this affirmation in the comments and claim it. The more he pushes, the less he feels me pushing back. Let the world know that you are done fighting for what was always yours, that you are done proving your worth. That from this moment forward, You walk in power, in silence, in undeniable strength. Number 8. Your value is not up for debate. It is a fact. Have you ever found yourself trying to convince him of your worth? Trying to make him see how much you bring to the table? Maybe you've explained, justified, fought for your place, only to realize that no matter what you say, he still doesn't value you the way he should. And the worst part? The more you argue, the less he listens. The more you try to prove yourself, the more he takes you for granted. But what if I told you your worth was never up for debate? What if I told you that the moment you stop explaining, stop defending, stop chasing validation, that is the moment everything shifts? Seneca once said, "The greatest wealth is a mind content with its own value." And that, queens, is the truth you must hold on to. A woman who knows her worth does not argue for it. She does not sit in front of a man, waiting for him to acknowledge what should already be obvious. She does not lower herself to beg for the respect, the love, or the attention that she deserves. Because the second you argue about your value, you hand over your power. And queens do not beg, they reign. Think of a diamond. A diamond does not sit in the marketplace shouting its worth to anyone who passes by. It does not argue with those who fail to recognize its value. It simply exists, rare, untouchable, desired. And those who understand its worth? They pursue it, they cherish it, they protect it. But those who are blind to its brilliance? They walk past it, only to regret it later when they realize that nothing else will ever compare. You are that diamond, and the moment you stop explaining your value, he will feel it. Because here's the truth about men. He does not value what he does not have to work for. He does not cherish what is always proving itself to him. The second he feels like he has the power to decide whether or not you are worthy, you have already lost the game. But when you pull back, when you stop arguing, stop proving, stop seeking his approval, that is when he starts to question everything. That is when he starts to feel the emptiness of his own choices. Because the woman who walks away without a fight, that is the woman he never forgets. Right now you might be thinking, but if I don't explain myself, he won't understand. Let me tell you something, Queen. He already understands. He knows exactly what you bring to the table. He knows exactly how rare you are. He's just waiting to see if you will break, if you will beg, if you will keep chasing the validation that should have been yours from the start. But the moment you stop, the moment you go quiet, that is when the real lesson begins. Think of a throne. A throne does not chase a man. It does not argue for its place in the kingdom. It simply stands, majestic, unshaken, waiting for the one strong enough to earn the right to sit beside it. A queen does not fight for attention. She commands it. And if he cannot see that, if he cannot recognize the privilege of standing beside you, then let him go. Let him walk away. Let him learn the hard way that he had something priceless, and he let it slip through his fingers. One day, he will look back. He will compare every woman to you. He will search for your presence in others. He will realize that what he once had was not just another woman. It was an irreplaceable force. But by then, you will be untouchable. You will not be sitting in the past, waiting for his realization. You will be too busy building your empire, too busy living, too busy thriving. And that, queens, is the final lesson. Your value does not decrease because he fails to see it. Your worth is not a question to be answered. It is a fact to be accepted, and if he cannot accept it, then he does not belong in your world. Walk away with grace. Walk away with confidence. Let your silence remind him of what he lost. Because the woman who does not fight to be seen, she is the one who is remembered forever. Queens, write this in the comments and claim it. My value is not up for debate. I am the prize. Let the world know that from this moment forward, you will never argue for what should already be known. You will never again fight to be seen, to be loved, to be chosen. Because the right man, the man who is worthy of you, he will never make you question it in the first place. And if this message spoke to you, if it reminded you of your power, then like this video and subscribe. We are working hard to bring you life-changing lessons, to remind you of the strength you have always had. Because queens, you were never meant to beg. You were meant to reign.